In the middle of a strike. How did that happen? You poke fun at him and he rings you for an hour.
How did you find out about this?
Never mind how I know these things.
That's amazing. Wow, you're like Woodward and Bernstein wrapped up in one here. Yeah, my publicist has forbidden me to talk about that for ever since.
Well, it must have passed now the bank.
Yeah, I mean that was it was an angry call, and suffice it to say, he's a phenomenally good debater. If you had been keeping score, I would have lost a round with him.
Did you grovel pathetically?
No, I was
stand around like a man.
I tried. I was really kind of in shock more than anything else. I mean, it was kind of an odd Hollywood moment. I mean, I was a huge fan of his show, and here I was getting this phone call, this really angry phone call.
Do you think he was right on the point of fact? I mean, he presumably was denying that he had done anything inappropriate.
I think my take on it in retrospect is this. I do maintain the standpoint that look, people have disagreements about unions. I think in that situation, how much good the writer's strike did is debatable depending on who you ask. In that situation, I think it is incumbent upon people in a certain position to stand up for the people who haven't made it yet, if they can. If it's low risk, and my argument was that if you were like the most successful guy on that network and arguably the most popular, successful television personality in the genre, and the argument is about whether or not. I mean, he was not pleased. I think his response was, who the hell made you the moral arbiter of Hollywood? Which is, in any debate, is a good response.
But none of you, as he is, are the self-appointed moral arbiter of Hollywood, which is exactly what the position he plays. I mean, there's a certain irony in Jon Stewart bringing up, haranguing you for mocking him, isn't it?
I mean, it's if I say yes, he's going to crucify me on the show every time.
Let's take him on together. I'm not scared. Let's take him down together.
Yeah, I mean,
Jon Stewart watching this. You were in the wrong, Stewie, and you should never have run Seth MacFarlane. Gutless coward. Don't dish it out.
I think he was...
Come with me, Seth.
I'll
Get on the mic.
give a very
put your charger up. Let's go.
I do think he was wrong not to shut his show down. I disagree with his actions there. But the way in which we...
Wrong to ring it? Wrong to not see the funny side?
Well, look, I mean, it's a free country. You can call it whatever you want to do about it. The gag that we did on Family Guy was coming from the right place, but was probably so over the line in its ruthlessness that it probably could have been more measured in its execution. How about that? But at the core...
Stand firmly by your jokes.
I stand firmly by my point of view.
Imagine what he would have done if you called him and ranted at him.
He probably would have broadcast it.
Huh? Yes.
Broadcast
he probably would.
but it's again, like it's.
I love it. I think he's a total genius. But I don't think he should be doing that.
He's an important voice for the rational side of politics and for the sphere of rational thought that exists less and less in this country. He's an important voice, which is why I was frustrated by. It's like you're the good guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy who's should be standing out there with us, and that was my thing.
Now, Seth MacFarlane. He's the 25-year-old wonder boy behind a much...
Donald Trump launched a new attack.
Hillary Clinton unleashing a blistering attack.
Donald Trump is taking aim at both Clintons. If you thought the race for the White House couldn't get any nastier...
You do not have to react.
It's my turn. No, what about... Hang on.
The security does not have a handle on the situation here.
Can you back your hopes, or a story a bit to life? Perhaps I can give you justice.
As for Game of Thrones characters, there is a wide variety when it comes to unique and special people. There is one that we can still not quite put our finger on. Melisandre is a red priestess for the Lord of Light. And while we have started to grow accustomed to her actions, can we really say we believe she is who she says she is? Well, of course not. I mean, when a woman who looks to be in her mid-30s takes off her choker and suddenly becomes an ancient reflection of herself, people start to wonder. We've talked about it before. Melisandre, like her fellow Red Priestesses, wears a choker around her neck with a ruby attached. It allows her to glamour herself or hide her true identity from the world. So when she takes it off, we see what she is hiding underneath the facade that she displays to everyone else. There are many theories as to who she may be, what her purpose is, her overall intent for Westeros, whether good or bad, and they all share one fact. Melisandre is not the woman she claims to be. The question is, if she really is this old crone, then why doesn't she show it? Why must the Red Woman mask her identity? It can't surely be for the sole purpose of sexually arousing a person with King's blood. These days, characters with King's blood are few and far between, and it seems unlikely that all Red women alike would portray this youthful look for the remainder of their service to the Lord of Light. But that's just me. I mean, I guess since it is top priority in finding the prince that was promised, candidates for the prophetic hero may find it easier to trust in a young and innocent-looking woman of faith. But that still seems a bit absurd. So who is she? Well, before we start guessing at an infinite amount of characters from the vast source material in the books, let's see if we can narrow it down. First, we know that she is over 100 years old. The actress who plays Melisandre admitted this in an interview back in 2012, saying, "I don't know how old she is, but she's way over 100 years." The showrunners David and Dan said in an after the show segment that Melisandre was several hundred years old. And finally, the actor who played Maester Crescent back in Season 2, you know, the guy who tries to poison Melisandre, but ends up being the only one to die. He asked why Melisandre's character didn't die, and he was told that she is 400 years old, and if she figured out how to survive that long, a little poison would probably do nothing. So we have one exact answer and two more broad answers. I would say Melisandre is closer to 400 years old than anything else, only because that number was the exact answer given about her age. Now, if you say that the body we see when she takes off her choker does not look 400 years old, then you're pretty much right. The production team actually used the likeness of an older woman for the body shots in the scene, and it was explained that they decided to go with the real person rather than just using CGI in its entirety, because how exactly would a 400-year-old person look? It's not really something that has been done, and honestly, if the crew did try to age Melisandre up to 400 years old, she would probably look worse than a walker on The Walking Dead. Okay, so let's go with 400 years for now. There really weren't many characters known by name in that era, so a better question might be what happened 400 years ago in the Game of Thrones timeline. Anything noteworthy? Well, what about the Doom of Valyria? The volcanic explosion that wiped out pretty much all of the Valyrian Peninsula and took out the majority of Valyrians and their dragons. There, of course, was not a good explanation for the cause of such a natural disaster, and it leaves the ruins of Valyria one of the most mysterious and unexplored regions in the known world. Would it be of any coincidence that a magical and influential character like Melisandre could be tied back to the timeline of the Doom? Let me know what you think about that. I want to mention that in correlation with the timeline, for me to subscribe to this idea, I have to have more context. So I did some fact checking. It turns out that up until the Doom, Valyrians ruled a massive area of land in Essos, referred to as the Valyrian Freehold. They had their dragons to thank for that, and Valyrians ruled and expanded their reign for nearly 5,000 years. They built cities and machines that were of unmatched architecture and technology, unlike anything made after the devastation. When you reread and learn more about the setting of Valyria in the good days, you can see how there could be an outside force that did not take kindly to the domination by this one race of people. Much like in the current timeline where there are maesters that want all the magic dead in the world, it makes me believe something similar could have happened back then too. Beyond this, I do not know how one person or even a whole gathering of people could somehow cause the massive volcanic eruption, but I'm sure it is in the realm of possibility. Also, this is just conjecture on my part, but followers of the Lord of Light use flames to view the Lord's visions, and fire is the main ingredient in just about every ritual or other worshipping event that Melisandre has a hand in. To me, it only adds to the belief that she may be connected to the Doomed, since the main tool of her religion was the destructive force that obliterated the greatest civilization the world has ever known. Just my thoughts. While we can speculate at possible characters that would be well under 400 years old who could possibly be the true identity of Melisandre, I really like the theory that she's actually this ancient woman with a past that may have affected a lot more than we see on the show. If you guys like the video, I can maybe delve deeper into the other theories as to who Melisandre might be, given that she is truly not 4 centuries old. Let me know in the comments. Have a great day, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Relationships are a very complex thing. There are so many hidden factors that we're completely unaware of. And, to make things worse, you have all these commonly believed misconceptions that can actually be really damaging. Here, psychology can help us. It can tease apart the cause and effect and give us a more accurate understanding of love. So, let's explore this all with the top 4 facts that will change your view on relationships. Number 1. The stat that 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce is misleading. This stat is often used as proof of how hopeless true love is. But while it might have been true in the late 70s when divorce was peaking, divorce rates have actually been declining ever since. In a more recent report, 57% of people were estimated to still be together after 15 years. Now, that's still pretty high, right? But the real problem is this. These statistics are an average of the entire population. Break it down into particular groups and you'll find starkly different divorce rates. In particular, people who have finished college and married later on in life were much less likely to divorce. In fact, 81% of college graduates who got married after the age of 26 were still married 20 years later. If you fit in this group, there's no need to be so pessimistic about marriage. The flip side is that groups like black women in high poverty areas have more than a 50% chance of divorce. So, it's best to mention demographic groups when talking about divorce rates. Number 2. Opposites do not attract. This myth is probably the most dangerous because it's actually causing relationship problems. While 2 polar opposites might get together in a movie, in real life there's a mountain of psychological evidence to disprove this. In fact, one study found that married couples had strikingly high similarity in values and attitudes towards life. Also, it was couples with similar personalities who reported being happier with their marriage, not opposite. I mean, just think about your closest friends. They're more similar to you than different, right? It's only at the beginning that you might be intrigued by a person's differences. But if you have to spend every day with them, these differences become a source of conflict, and what used to be an interesting quirk quickly turns into a nuisance. So, if you're still using this myth to find love, then it's best to stop immediately. Number 3. The pill can significantly affect your relationships. Millions of women take the pill every day to avoid having babies. But, did you know the pill could be influencing you to choose the wrong partner? Surprisingly, a survey of 2,500 women found that those who were on the pill while choosing a partner were now less attracted to him, less sexually satisfied, and more likely to initiate a separation. On the flip side, they were more satisfied with him as a father. What's going on here? Well, when you take the pill, it changes your hormone levels to trick the body into thinking it's pregnant. Now, hormones play a big role in attraction, so if you change them, it's going to affect who you find attractive. In this case, women on the pill don't find high testosterone men with their chiseled jawline and prominent brow as attractive. This is strange because these are your typically attractive features. But it all makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. Since their body thinks it's pregnant, it's unconsciously telling them to find a supportive family man, not some high testosterone guy who's more risk-taking and more likely to cheat. So, imagine when they eventually go off the pill. As their hormones rebalance and they start preferring high testosterone men again, they may start seeing their partner in a different light. Overall, while it probably won't lead to divorces, it's best to be aware of how the pill is affecting your relationships. And number 4, explaining why you love someone actually makes you more likely to break up with them. Consider these experiments. Participants were either asked, how much do you like your partner, or why do you like your partner? Those which considered why, rather than trusting their instinct, tend to change attitudes towards their relationships, and were more likely to break up half a year later. Why does this happen? Well, think about it this way. The feeling of love is very complex, and there's a lot of unconscious stuff going on. You can't fully express it in words, right? So, when you try to give reasons, your reasons won't be 100% accurate, and will severely underplay the role of subconscious processes. You might think of plausible reasons, for example, I like her because she's smart. But, just because they're plausible doesn't mean they're accurate. Consequently, when she says something dumb, you'll start re-evaluating your relationship. So, next time you're asked why you like someone, it's probably best not to answer. And those are the top 4 facts that will change your view on relationships.
For the last 5 days, 17 hours, and 23 minutes, you've been a passenger. The new Mazda 6 with Sky-Active Vehicle Dynamics makes it good to be a driver.
Now this video will be a feel-good video. Now, on this video you have these 2 brothers who are doing real estate and they're in a neighborhood going to check out their home. Then you have a cop to show up and stop them because they're driving while black and they're in the wrong neighborhood. But I want you to thoroughly watch this video. It's real good.
And that's what I do. I feel out. So I don't live there like a personal resident, but I do have my house in the West, and I'm looking to sell it. And we just out here comparing the market analysis, see what's going on. Like, for example, I got an offer for $285. I ain't happy with that. You know what I'm saying? Why is that?
I've never seen you in the store.
I mean, I don't know. Look, I can't explain all that, but I can tell you this though. They send me letters letting me know anything they have to do.
Fonzo sell houses, right?
HOA together.
So me and him riding over here in the neighborhood. He got a $300,000 house. We get pulled over by the police because we in the neighborhood.
I don't know the president for real. I forgot who the president is. They give you when they send it. I mean, we can just go to my crib. Like, we can just ride over there. It ain't nothing for you to come in. Let's ride then. We going.
Showtime.
Steve-O, I'm about to flex.
Yeah, we about to go back to
we about to flex.
You don't believe Fonzo got a $300,000?
Yo, put this on. Let this go on
Facebook.
Go on Facebook.
You don't believe Fonzo got a $300,000 house? You want to follow us?
Follow us, yeah. Follow us. Hell yeah.
Next you stop.
Oh yeah, because he would.
Yep.
Yeah, he would. Put the blinkers on.
He been following us around the neighborhood, then pulled us over. Yeah, we about to take him to the house that Fonzo owns. And go on up in there and see if he like it. Can you afford it?
Yeah, man, those are the type of questions we can
are you interested in buying? Why you wasting our time? This was all for nothing. I'm gonna call you back. That just shows you being black in America. Crazy. We out here trying to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to, he want to show me the house, and you know what I mean, whatever. We out here comparing his house to another house just sold for $300, because his house is worth $340. You know what I'm saying? We get pulled over.
This is a beautiful.
But I'll call you back. Right. We got the north behind them.
They swear up and down two black guys really is my niggers.
Yeah.
They don't own no house out here.
Yeah. We did shit.
I'm like, got him.
Look at these houses out here. We ain't supposed to be out here. Oh, shit. Money get you anywhere you want to go. Anywhere you want to go. Y'all want to be out here with us? You save your money. Invest. Invest with us. If you got 300, I'm gonna show you what you can get. Talk to them. What they say, bro? You can live out here by the lake, and you can get followed by the Jake. Yes. Because you're young, rich, and black, bro. What's he saying? Because I'm young, rich, and I'm black? That's what he said. Make sure you stop. Complete stop at the stop sign. Give him enough time to get up here. He's ready to look stupid.
He gonna be mad when he see this.
Yeah. Ain't no damn son. Look joint right here. Look at that. Look at that. I think Trump live there.
Yeah.
I think Trump live right there. Yeah, we got Obama down the block. Right here though. You know, what was the sign right here? What was the sign right here? Pull it up. Bam. Bam.
Let's get it.
Big boy.
Stop right here. Just make sure we in the presence of everybody.
Yeah, let's go get out with the camera.
Let's go ahead. Let's make a movie. 7238 Trotters Road.
The house worth too much money walking through grass, man.
Yeah, you're right.
For real.
Check it out. Check it right way. I never see it much.
Yeah, we're gonna sharpen it up though. Add a little 300. You can make an offer. They offered 285 already. You ain't feeling that. 15 more about it. 15 more about it. We ain't feeling that. We ain't feeling low offers though, man. That's what I'm saying, man. This is a show. It's a show we deal with when we young and black and trying to make something happen. What the key is it?
Oh, you heard Pop?
Just go ahead and, tell them about the house.
I mean, as you can see, we have it's a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath. Master bedroom, you could.
Come on in.
I can.
Oh.
You sure?
Oh,
it's my house, though. You good.
Yeah, you good? We invited you in. You want to know where you pulled. Like, we still trying to figure out why we were pulled over. Right. But this is why we in the neighborhood. This is it. Oh, you leaving? Come on, man. You got to do more than that for us, man. God, leave, man. Is that it?
It's nice, though, right? You feel it? I mean, it's
Is that it, man?
That's it.
All right. We appreciate whatever you did for us.
Yeah.
Sure did.
That's what we're doing, man. New way, man. Trying to really stay focused.
Randolph County.
Really trying to stay focused.
That will make you want to cash out right there.
Appreciate you doing your job, though.
Yeah, I love this video. I love how it ended. Now, there's some things I want to point out within this video. First and foremost, he was racially profiled because a black man can't have a nice home in certain neighborhoods because in some of their mind, they think that, you know, we only belong in the hood and the ghetto. We can't be successful. Now, if he had any kind of sense, he could look at those two brothers and realize they're not no thugs. But continue. He still just had an issue with black men riding around in that kind of neighborhood. The second thing I want to point out, these brothers were working together in some sort of business. And see what happens when we unify and get together and do great business. The third thing is they didn't act funny with the cop. They didn't talk crazy to him. None of that other stuff. I've seen some people doing videos. They say, hey, we got a house out here. Follow us. And he followed them to the house. And did you see the look on that cop's face when he seen those brothers own that house? It was the best thing ever. Because one thing they cannot stand, brothers and sisters, is to see you successful. They can't stand that. They do not think that you deserve a nice home. They don't think you deserve a nice car. They don't think you deserve a great family. They don't think you deserve all that. Because you need to understand, people like that, and I always will say this, white supremacy can only thrive on black inferiority, black poverty. black despair. So when you are successful, when you keep on the straight and narrow, have a great family, it literally destroys them because their self-esteem is predicated off of your well-being, and which is crazy because no one's self-esteem should be predicated off of anybody else's well-being. But with people like that you see in the video, who have these white supremacist ideas, that's how they act. Now, that kind of cop can't afford a house like that. Not at all. Not on his salary. But he had that look in his face. He looked so dumb. He looked so stupid. I bet the next time you want to racially profile a black man, a black woman, when they come in certain neighborhoods, you should know better. I mean, if you're going to profile right. Make sure they look like the type that you want to style. Don't sit up there and profile somebody that don't even look the part. I mean, that's kind of stupid, in my opinion. Now, the thing is, we as black people, there's many of us who are living that same life like those brothers. Then not all of us are out here doing wrong. And actually, if you look at the crime that they love to talk about, it's only relegated to low income and impoverished areas. Middle class to upper class blacks are even committing crimes, but they don't want to talk about that. There are many of us who are opening businesses, who are doing great. I even showed that here on this channel. So rest assured, we are doing positive things all over the place. And people like that cop cannot stand to see black people doing good. It makes me happy to see black people doing good. I'm not the type of black man to get jealous because I see these brothers have a $300,000 house. I'm happy for them. I get so happy to see other brothers and sisters doing so well because it just makes me feel like I'm good, watching you do well in the process. Brothers and sisters, keep pushing, keep being successful in spite of, and maybe.
I need you to do me one favor. You see them? Yeah, search these motherfuckers. Each one of these motherfuckers, especially that white guy. I don't trust these motherfuckers. These motherfuckers is crazy looking. They don't belong on private planes. These niggas is out of neighborhoods that where low-income housing. They come out of low-income housing. They're not used to being on private jets, and I think they need to be frisked. Look to the white boy right there behind the tail of that plane. Sir, could you please come from behind the plane, sir? Could you step from behind the plane? See, you can't trust these kind of people. Boy, I had a ball out here in Detroit, and I'm getting ready to take my ass back to New York City. Shout out to Southwest T. Boy, there was so many BMF niggas out there. It was unbelievable. I can't even believe everybody that I met was down with BMF. How the fuck everybody was down? Everybody? I couldn't even walk through the strip club. Brought the whole motherfucking city. Told you, boy, you might not. What? I'm big out here, boy. How long is it going to take us to get to Memphis? About 2 hours, 15 minutes. All right. Y'all enjoy the ride. All right. After you made me wait all night. Hey, man, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mastar Media, and today we're going to be talking about what is Goku's next transformation, his final form in the Dragon Ball franchise. Now I know Expert Gamers did a similar video, but that was done not only a year ago, so we have new information, but my thoughts and theories on this differ greatly, so I'm going to get into my speculation as to what exactly Goku's final form is. So Goku and Goku Black have fought twice, in their upcoming third battle, we're going to have to expect to see Goku step it up a major notch. Now, hopefully that means a new transformation. I think the first and most logical step is that Goku's going to attempt to use the Kaioken in order to beat the Super Saiyan Rose by Goku. However, We know that Black Goku can use all of Goku's techniques, including the Kamehameha, the instant teleportation, and so why can't he use the Kaioken? So meaning, if Goku tries to step it up by going Kaioken times 10, Black Goku's going to do the same and still win because, as we have seen, Super Saiyan Rose seems to be much stronger than Super Saiyan Blue. Now, we don't know if Super Saiyan Rose is the next transformation. I hope to God not. Which brings speculation that will Goku turn Super Saiyan 3 Blue. Now, I don't think this is possible, and additionally, apparently there was some talk from Akira Toriyama in an official interview where he said he is not going to do Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 Blue, but I did my research online and I cannot find any confirmation that that interview is actually correct. But here's why I don't think he's going to do that. Super Saiyan 3 already places a tremendous amount of stress on Goku's body. Additionally, he said in the Dragon Ball Super anime that Super Saiyan Blue uses a ton of stamina. I don't think that these two combined is even feasible, and if it was, he'd only probably be able to maintain it for a few seconds before he'd be completely burned out. Which means that if Goku is the victor in this battle, he's going to need his new ultimate form, a new form of Saiyan that surpasses even the gods, even all of the new characters in Dragon Ball who are infinitely stronger than him at this point. Now, is that Super Saiyan 5? As you can see in this picture of Super Saiyan 5, it is fake. Now, this picture has been circulating for the last 16 or so years as a Spanish artist by the name of David Montel Franco in 1999 published Dragon Ball AF saying that it was a real thing. Later on, it was realized that it was a hoax, but the image of Super Saiyan 5 as this big Super Saiyan 4 with long white hair was ingrained in the Dragon Ball community forever. However, I'm pretty sure that Akira is not going to follow the path of this, one, because it was fan-made, and two, because it looks so similar to Super Saiyan 4, and Akira did confirm that Dragon Ball GT is a side story. Essentially, it was not canon. So I don't know why he would take the Super Saiyan 4 transformation from GT, recolor it, and use that as his Super Saiyan 5. And Akira Toriyama is known for throwing us for a loop when it comes to new transformations, as apparent by Super Saiyan Red, Blue, Pink, all this stuff that's happening. Now, I pray to God his next level of transformation isn't a Super Saiyan Green or even a Super Saiyan Purple, and that he's not following the entire rainbow. However, Akira does listen to the audience, and I think the majority of people were pretty pissed off at Super Saiyan Pink because it was just so random, and it doesn't really make any sense yet. Now, expert gamers' thought was that the perfect transformation would be one that Goku doesn't have to actually transform. He'd have all of his power in his base form, and that would technically be his ultimate form since it doesn't consume any stamina. I think that's a good theory and thought, but I don't think that that's what his ultimate transformation is going to be. I think Goku needs something new above and beyond Super Saiyan Blue that really pushes him far past everyone else. Think when Goku first became Super Saiyan, how much stronger he was than everybody else in Dragon Ball. Now, Goku is definitely going to get a new form, and I can tell you why. First of all, Kaioken times 10 can't be his limit. There's got to be something more. The Universe Tournament's coming up. There's way too many obstacles in Goku's way for him to win at Super Saiyan Blue. Meaning that for this series to progress, our hero of the story needs to reach a new pinnacle of power that pushes him past all the enemies, gods, and obstacles in his way, and essentially makes him the strongest fighter in the entire multiverse, which is another reason that I think that they even introduced the multiverse, not only to give us new enemies, but to push Goku past the limits that he was given in Dragon Ball. So Dragon Ball Z, Majin Buu was basically the strongest in the universe. Now in Dragon Ball Super, we have to give the man who breaks all limits new obstacles to overcome. Now it is my theory that Beerus was actually put into this anime as a benchmark, and I've said it before, I think that he is the benchmark of power in terms of maximum level of power, and also for Dragon Ball Super, the new benchmark of power that Goku must overcome in order to become the strongest fighter in the entire multiverse. In order to overcome that benchmark, Goku needs to turn into a new level of Super Saiyan, a grand ultimate form, something that doesn't put strain on his body, but is insanely, insanely powerful, the Super Saiyan God that Beerus dreamed of, somebody who has the ultimate power in the multiverse, and that is going to be Goku's grand ultimate form. Now, honestly, I don't know if we're going to see it when he defeats Black Goku. I don't think we will. I'm about to do another video on how Black Goku dies, but I think we're going to see this new transformation some point in the multiversal tournament, and that's how Dragon Ball Super is going to end. We're probably going to see the most evil and villainous enemy all of the Dragon Ball has ever seen in the multiversal tournament, who may even kill someone close to Goku and is going to push him past that limit. And then Goku's going to turn to his new transformation, which puts him past Beerus, which puts him past Whis, which turns him into the Grand Ultimate form. And that's probably how he's going to win the Multiversal Tournament, defeat that villain, and Dragon Ball Super is going to end. They'll probably use the Super Dragon Ball to bring back whoever dies, whether it's Vegeta or Gohan or whoever they bring to that tournament. I don't think that it's going to happen in this next conclusion to the Black Goku saga. That's just my own opinion. I'm going to do another video right after this talking about how I think Black Goku is actually going to die. So let me know your thoughts, guys. What would you like to see as the new level of transformation? Would you like it to be something from my anime, from my Goku vs. Saitama vid, something like the Super Saiyan White? I think personally it's going to be something like that. As Expert Gamers pointed out, the white is a symbol of purity and wisdom, and I think that does kind of make sense as the ultimate form for Goku. His final Grand Ultimate Super Saiyan form is something pure and extremely, extremely powerful that doesn't put any stress on his body. Now, maybe the Super Saiyan Red and Super Saiyan Blue forms of Goku are just simply the imperfect form of Super Saiyan God, and the final ultimate level of Super Saiyan God is something new altogether. It's definitely possible. I hope that it's something unique and really stands out and gets everybody hyped up. And I'm also think Akira's going to do this because people love transformations. I mean, the entire point behind all the money coming from Dragon Ball Super was that Goku got a new transformation, and that's what got everybody so hyped up about the series. So let me know what you guys think below, guys. What would you like to see for a Grand Ultimate form? If you have any fan art, please post that or link it below. And thanks for joining Master Media. I'm going to do another video on how Black Goku dies right after this. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King, so that Reverend Martin Luther King can continue to teach the Negroes to be defenseless. That's what you mean by nonviolence. Be defenseless. Be defenseless in the face of one of the most cruel beasts that has ever taken the people into captivity. That's just the American white man. And they have proved it throughout the country by the police calls and police busts. 100 years ago, they used to put on a white sheet and use a bloodhound against Negroes. Today, they've taken off the white sheet and put on police uniforms. They've traded in the bloodhounds for police dogs, and they're still doing the same thing. Just as Uncle Tom, back in slavery, used to keep the Negroes from resisting the bloodhound or resisting the Ku Klux Klan by teaching them to love their enemy or take a rope and use them to fight police. Today, Martin Luther King is just a 20th century or modern Uncle Tom, or a religious Uncle Tom, who is doing the same thing today to keep Negroes defenseless in the face of attack that Uncle Tom did on the plantation to keep those Negroes defenseless in the face of the attack of the Klan.
I don't think of laws as this kind of emotion at all. I don't think that are weak. But I think of laws as something strong, organized, and powerful, a direct action. Now, this is what I try to teach in the struggle in the South, that we are not engaged in a struggle that means we sit down and do nothing. That there's a great deal of difference between non-resistance to evil and non-violent evil. Non-resistance leads to stagnant passivity and deadening complacency, whereas non-violent resistance means that you do resist in a very strong and determined manner. And I think some of the criticism of non-violence, or some of the critics, fail to realize that we are talking about something very strong, and they confuse non-resistance with non-violence.
The goal of Dr. Martin Luther King is to give Negroes a chance to sit in a segregated restaurant beside the same white man who has brutalized them for 400 years, The goal of Dr. Martin Luther King is to get Negroes to forgive the people who have brutalized them for 400 years by lulling them to sleep and making them forgetting what those whites have done to them. But the masses of black people in America today don't go for what Martin Luther King is putting down. As you said in one of your articles, it's psychologically insecure or something of that sort. I forget how you put it. But you didn't endorse what Martin Luther King was doing yourself.
I do not reject his goal of full integration and full equality rights of persons.
If you don't think that he's walking on the right road, I'm quite sure you don't agree that he'll get to the right place. And if you classify his method as psychologically unrealistic, I think that a man's method is psychologically unrealistic, which means the road or the means or the method that he's using, I think as a psychologist, you'd be very doubtful.
I don't think
that
that's true. If anyone has ever lived with a nonviolent movement in the South, I've done it in the freedom rides, considering movement, see the reaction, extremists and reactionaries in the white community. You wouldn't say that this movement makes, this philosophy makes them happy. I think it arouses a sense of shame within them. I think it does something to touch the conscience and establish a sense of guilt. Now, so often people respond to guilt by engaging more in the guilt-evoking act in an attempt to drown the sense of guilt. But this approach certainly doesn't make the white man feel comfortable. It does the other thing, conscience, it disturbs this sense of contentment.
Nothing will they ever do. They will always talk it, but they won't practice it. And with the Supreme Court, if the NAACP can tell me that they want a desegregation decision for me 10 years ago, but yet the schools haven't been desegregated, as I say, this is a victory with no victory. It's a victory that you can talk about, but it's a victory you can't show. So if you represent the NAACP and you're telling me about this great victory you won for me, when I look at you, I have to conclude that either you have been duped yourself or else you are trying to dupe me. And in most instances where the civil rights struggle is involved, there is no civil rights leader can point to me one concrete gain, practical gain that black people have made in the civil rights field in this country, not only during the past 10 years, but during the past 100 years.
I don't think there's any real organization to the riots. I think they grow out of the conditions that I've mentioned all along. And as long as these intolerable conditions are there, as long as the Negro finds himself living every day in a major depression, then every city will sit on a powder keg and can explode over the slightest incident. I feel that killing is a very tragic way to deal with any social problem. There is no violent solution to the problem that the Negro confronts in this country. And this is why I have constantly said that riots are socially destructive and self-defeating. After all, the Negro ends up on the losing end. We can't win a violent revolution. Most of the persons killed in riots are Negroes themselves. The persons who end up not being able to get milk for their children are Negroes because things where they have to live are destroyed. So there's no practical or moral answer in the realm of violence to the Negro's problem. But I do understand the sociological, the psychological, and the economic reasons.
Problem can be solved. First, the white man and the black man have to be able to sit down at the same table. The white man has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of that Negro. And the so-called Negro has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of the white man. Then they can bring the issues that are under the rug out on top of the table and take an intelligent approach to get the problem solved. That's the only way that they'll ever do it. We need an action program while we are Muslims, while we are Christians, or while we are whatever we are. We still need an action program that will eliminate these evils that are in our community. This is what we're trying to do with the Muslim Master. Do you consider yourself militant? I consider myself not.
Well, I think we have to agree that this appears to be the result of an internal conflict within the Black nationalist movement. So I think the first thing that needs to be done is for a conference of goodwill to take place between black nationalist leaders. This was why I suggested a few days ago that the followers of the late Malcolm X and the followers of Elijah Muhammad should sit down at the peace table together, so to speak, and discuss this problem and try to reach some understanding. I don't think, and I'm sure, that nothing can be accomplished by violence. It only leads to new and more complex social problems. I think it is unfortunate for the black nationalist movement. I think it is unfortunate for the health of our nation.
I may not get there with it, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Hey guys, it's Ryder here, and the first official Luke Cage reviews are in. Critics have spoken. Of course, none of the fans have yet, mainly because, well, the show doesn't come out until the 30th of this month. But critic reviews are in. Now, if this summer has taught us anything, I guess from comic book movies, comic book summer movies, critics have had a thing or two to say about it. And the way that they impact these comic book movies have definitely impacted the fan community, specifically Suicide Squad. And I know this isn't a DC video, but of course, the reviews for Suicide Squad were very, very negative from just regular average movie critics. From, you know, hardcore fans like me, I think a lot of people really loved it. I really enjoyed Suicide Squad. But my point here is that critics have had a thing or two to say about comic book movies and I guess even TV shows that, you know, they just maybe don't understand, right? Well, like, that's how the fans might look at it, as they don't understand. But I think that is the really beautiful thing about the Marvel Netflix series. They aren't just your regular, typical, you know, big CGI fest of, you know, comic book characters. It's not like that. It is set in a world where aliens exist, where gods exist, where we're going to be introduced to multiple dimensions, where, you know, there's these mystical, you know, orbs or totems, right, that give special kings the powers of animals, where some kid can get bit by a radioactive spider and now he becomes this superhero. That's the world this takes place in. And yet, it's perceived more as just a regular drama. And to me, that is the coolest thing possible. I loved Daredevil. I loved Jessica Jones just as much. I loved Daredevil Season 2, maybe even a bit more. So I knew I was going to love Luke Cage. But the best is when you read other people enjoying themselves. And so far, I've read reviews from Collider, I believe, what was the other one? IO9, what was the other one? Deadline, just a couple other big news sources like that. And they all really had very nice things to say. One in particular was saying that it is the best Marvel series ever. Now, it takes a lot of balls to say that, just based upon what Daredevil Season 2, and Jessica Jones have done. You know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., hey, I really like S.H.I.E.L.D., but let's be honest here, it's not even close to the quality of the Netflix series. So, it's very hard to say for me which is the best Marvel Netflix show. I'd be very happy to say Luke Cage once I see it. The whole idea of music, we're incorporating music so much, and I think that is one thing that TV shows don't do, but should. To me, when you've got a really great music track, or any type of music at all, soundtrack, you know, anything like that, and you place it and time it correctly, it could just make magic. And that is what I'm so excited to see in Luke Cage. Mainly because, well, it's all hip-hop music, but not just your typical, you know, I don't know, Logic or 2 Chainz or, you know, Drake. It's not any of that modern stuff now. It's all going to be about kind of period time music, old Harlem, all that kind of jazz, literally. And I think that's really cool. The villain, Cornell Cottonmouth, who I was kind of underwhelmed by. I thought he looked pretty cool, had some great character moments in the trailer, but to me, he didn't speak to me like Kingpin and Purple Man did in the trailers for both Daredevil and Jessica Jones. But according to these reviews, he is just as good as the Kingpin, the Purple Man, or better. Oh, and it's not the just as good that really gets me, it's the or better part. And that's what I'm very excited for, because I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. For a great comic book series, no, scratch that, for a great series, a great movie, you need a great villain and a great conflict and a great purpose/reason for this to all be happening. And if that's what we're getting, then I'm all for that. Again, we don't know the true plot yet.
The police, who, as these Montana cops show, frequently have to deal with humanity at its worst.
What's the First Amendment? What's the First Amendment? What's the First Amendment? You don't even know! Constitution! Yeah, Constitution. Read it and live by it.
Let's have a seat in the back of the car.
And that's perfect. It's not like he needed to say Ron Paul 2012. That was implicit in everything he said up to that point. But it's certainly nice to have it confirmed. Now, as you know, the police have been at the centre of a great deal of controversy lately. It's been impossible to escape, from the Black Lives Matter movement to Colin Kaepernick's protest to Mary J. Blige awkwardly singing a Springsteen song at Hillary Clinton.
Is it a gun? Is it a knife? Is it a promise? This is your life. You can get killed just for living in your American skin. Oh. Hillary, thank you.
Oh, God! Oh, God! Hillary would have won my undying respect if she just looked Mary J. Blige straight in the face and said, I support your message, but that was awkward as and I wish you hadn't done it. That would have been honest. Now, the trust between police and the communities they serve is clearly a cornerstone of civilized society. Unfortunately, that trust has been rocked following a series of controversial police shootings, from Alton Sterling to Philando Castile to Tamir Rice to so many others I literally cannot mention them all. And cumulatively, these deaths, taken with countless smaller incidents of police misconduct, have led to a common refrain.
Listen, I just want the police to be held accountable.
We just want the system of policing to be held accountable.
Those police need to be held accountable the same way that you're going to hold me accountable if I broke the law.
Whenever they mess up, whenever they commit a crime, whenever something goes wrong, I'm talking about serious stuff like murder and whatnot, these guys never get prosecuted.
Now, those are valid frustrations, although as a quick side note, Murder and Whatnot would be an amazing CSI spin-off. That's a watchable show right there. So police accountability is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And before we go any further, I should say, as the police will tell you, they have a difficult, dangerous, challenging job. No reasonable person would disagree with that. But that's all the more reason for ensuring that it's done to the highest standard. A cake decorator has a challenging job, but the worst thing that happens if he f***s up is you end up wishing someone a happy anal-versary. And, yeah, while that's obviously not ideal, who knows, maybe it's their anal-versary too. The police will also argue that what they have is less an institutional problem than it is an individual one.
There's been some bad apples out there. I think that, but I don't think that that is indicative of the entire police department.
Yeah, you got bad apples, but you got bad apples in every occupation.
Just like any business, you're going to have some bad apples.
They're out to protect you, and that's what policing's about. Are there bad apples? Yeah.
Okay, that is a weirdly blasé attitude, because bad apples can erode trust fast. Snow White wasn't afraid of apples before she took a bite out of that one really bad one. But I'm telling you, the next time an old lady comes at her with a piece of fruit, Snow is going to get the f*** out of there. And that argument, it's just a few bad apples, has some real problems. For a start, it doesn't address bad laws and policies that good officers are made to enforce, which we've touched on multiple times before. Criminal justice is kind of our show's signature bit. It is to us what assessing the shape of your poop is to Dr. Ross. Also, you can't claim there's just a few bad apples when no one knows exactly how many there are. There are nearly 18,000 different police departments in America. They are not great about reporting or sharing data. In fact, even some surprisingly basic questions are hard to answer, as the head of the FBI admits.
We can't have an informed discussion because we don't have data. People have data about who went to a movie last weekend, or how many books were sold, or how many cases of the flu walked into an emergency room. And I cannot tell you how many people were shot by police in the United States last month, last year, or anything about the demographics.
How is that possible? We have numbers for almost everything. We have ratings for how many people watched Jeremy Piven in Mr. Selfridge. The government even tracks how many people are killed by falling TVs each year. A number surely inflated by people who were watching Mr. Selfridge and said, "I choose death," and then pulled the TV down on top of them. In fact, the best numbers on police misconduct come from a researcher named Philip Stinson, who accumulated over a decade's worth of data by setting up 48 Google alerts in 2005. Google alerts! And his stats are truly chilling. Out of thousands of fatal police shootings since 2005, only 77 officers have been charged with murder or manslaughter, and to date, only 26 have been convicted. And while the truth is, many police shootings are justified, 26 seems suspiciously low. So how can that be the number? Well, broadly speaking, most investigations of police misconduct face a few obstacles, and the first one is big. Misconduct is often investigated internally by an officer's colleagues, which does not inspire confidence. Although if you listen to the police chief in Bakersfield, California, the system is just.
You're absolutely confident that that structure of review is entirely impartial.
Oh yeah, these guys are experts in the field.
They have
hundreds of years of law enforcement experience combined, and so I have the utmost confidence in these individuals.
Here's the thing there. Combined experience is not a thing that automatically makes you do a better job. Our staff has a combined 347 years in television, and that doesn't mean we won't just throw a load of raisins on the desk and call it entertainment. And unsurprisingly, the DOJ has consistently found flaws with internal investigations. In Cleveland, investigators admitted they intentionally cast an officer in the best light possible when investigating a use of deadly force. And in Miami, investigations took so long that at least 2 officers shot and killed a suspect while still under investigation for a previous shooting. And there should never be a second one of anything before you figure out whether the first was justified. Call it the Dolphin Tail 2. How is there a second one of these? I thought Harry Connick Jr. ate the dolphin at the end of the first one. I don't know for sure, I haven't seen it, but no one has, and that's the f***ing point. And in Baltimore, the DOJ report included the story of Joe Crystal, a detective who had reported 2 fellow officers for alleged excessive force and was labelled a rat, with one colleague leaving pictures of cheese on his desk, which is almost charming, until you learn how far some others went.
He found himself cut off. He says he didn't get backup in dangerous situations. Someone even left a dead rat on his windshield.
It was like their way of telling me, you don't belong here. This is what we think of you.
Ouch. Leaving a dead rat on an officer's windshield is definitely hostile, unless, of course, that officer is a police cat. In which case, it means, welcome to the force, Whiskers. We're lucky to have you. Enjoy the rat. But police accountability doesn't just suffer from an unwritten code of silence. That code can be enshrined within state laws or union contracts as well. For instance, one reason it can be hard to stop problem officers is that in many jurisdictions, policies allow disciplinary records to be destroyed. In Baton Rouge, a sustained complaint can be stricken from your record after just 18 months. And in Mesa, Arizona, when a journalist started demanding records, a police chief actually made an internal video reminding his officers that there was a way for them to clean up their past.
I don't want anybody to have to relive a problem that's already been adjudicated, that they've already been disciplined for, that they've already seen scrutiny in the public eye. So purge your files according to policy. Make sure that there's the things that you don't want in there aren't in there.
That seems wrong. You should not be able to erase parts of your past that are damaged. This is an official police file, not a Volkswagen corporate history that somehow starts after World War II. Yeah, Nazi cult. The choice of the Nazis. And deleting records is not an officer's only option to escape their past. Sometimes, after an incident, they'll simply resign and move to another police department. This happens so much, people in law enforcement call them gypsy cops. In South Carolina, a TV station looked into one officer who spent a total of 9 years on the job, working for 9 different departments, 3 of them in just 1 year, and in one case, he left in spectacular fashion.
Deputies believe Yarborough's driving ability was compromised, and they said they discovered a half-empty bottle of rye whiskey and a baggie of assorted pills in his patrol cruiser. According to the state records, Yarborough said, "I'm not taking no drug test. I guess I'll resign."
Holy shit! I'm not taking no drug test, I guess I'll resign is a sentence you do not want to hear from a police officer. It's barely appropriate coming from a roadie leaving Aerosmith. And gypsy cops have been involved in tragic incidents. In the Tamir Rice case, the officer who shot the 12-year-old had been in the process of being fired from his previous job before resigning. But the Cleveland police missed that red flag when hiring him because they didn't read his personnel file, which detailed an incident during weapons training where he had a dangerous loss of composure, leading his supervisor to conclude, "I do not believe time nor training will be able to change or correct these deficiencies." That is the kind of performance review which should keep you from getting hired at Staples, let alone a job where you're given a fucking gun. That cop, by the way, was never even charged. Like many such cases, his never made it past the grand jury, which seems inherently surprising until you realise local prosecutors and cops have to work together all the time, which can get very complicated.
As a full prosecutor, I can tell you, you work with the police, you rely upon the police, you trust the police are in your office reviewing evidence, examining evidence, preparing for trial, and then have to turn around and prosecute them to prosecute you?
Exactly. For a prosecutor to go after a cop they work with is incredibly awkward. I can't think of anything more inherently awkward, other than, of course, this.
Oh. Thank you.
Oh God, it's not getting any better. Nothing in Hillary's life has ever been more awkward than that. And think about what a high bar that is. And even when cases go to trial, officers have a major advantage, which is that juries tend to have a natural predisposition to trust them.
Police officers truly get a presumption of innocence, whereas most criminal defendants don't come in with any presumption of innocence. Swimming upstream. Usually a judge will toss the case of a preliminary hearing, or a grand jury will refuse to indict, so you never even get the trial. And jurors just do not come in with any belief whatsoever that officers can commit a crime. They just don't.
It's true. Many people see a police uniform and automatically think trustworthy. Unless, of course, it includes a sleeveless shirt and a boombox, in which case they think stripper, and sometimes, wait, Jim from middle school? And under Under the law, the police generally have a certain amount of leeway regarding lethal force, meaning that fatal shootings can be considered legal even if they are unnecessary or disproportionate. There is even a shorthand for such cases. It's lawful but awful, which I believe is also the legal definition of Woody Allen's marriage. I think that's it. Who are you angry with here? Put the booze back in your pockets. And on top of all this, officers can bring in extra officers who can present nearly any situation as a potential threat. Take Dr. Bill Lewinsky, who runs something called the Force Science Institute. For years, he has testified on behalf of police officers. Here he is providing a rationale for why it may be okay to shoot someone that has a knife.
Knives can actually be more dangerous than a gun. They don't have to be reloaded. They can be used at close distance. We know that a stab from a knife, a stab with a cut, can be extremely quick.
Hey, come on! That is not the motion you make when you are stabbing someone. That is the motion you make when you are a teenage magician finishing a trick. Is this your card? But there is no doubt a knife is a dangerous weapon. But what if someone doesn't have a knife? Dr. Lewinsky, could force still be necessary when someone is unarmed?
First of all, it's significant to know that unarmed does not mean they're not dangerous. In fact, the fist may have been the very first weapon that human beings used against each other. In fact, I've measured strikes on human beings by other humans, and the strikes can occur at a speed of 4, 5, or 6 strikes in a second, and some of them really hard.
What is he talking about? The only time a fist is a match for a weapon is during a game of rock, paper, scissors. And even then, it can be defeated by paper, for reasons which make no sense to me whatsoever. Well, that's not the point. Look, defendants are allowed to call extra witnesses. Of course, what is weird is Lewinsky has appeared before grand juries, which is where prosecutors are supposed to present their best, unchallenged case for an officer's indictment. So why would they let Lewinsky in there? They're essentially shooting their own case in the foot, which is presumably justified because think was the second weapon ever invented. And listen, we focused heavily on trials here, but in a perfect world, there would be enough accountability throughout policing that the blunt instruments of a trial would very rarely be necessary. So how can we fix all this? Well, for a start, the body cameras have increased transparency and trust in many places. In Rialto, California, after just 1 year of using them, the number of complaints filed against officers fell by 88%, and the use of force dropped by around 60%. And when Baltimore's trial run of a body camera program ended, their police commissioner begged for their return.
Police officers want cameras. I think this is just a moment where everybody wants cameras. I was speaking to some folks just before we came in here, and apparently we had a couple police officers who were turning in their body-worn cameras, and they were asking, when can we get these back?
Right, and these cops aren't M. Night Shyamalan. If they plead with you to let them have a camera again, you should give it to them. Give it to them. And body cameras are obviously just one solution. Other cities have tried requiring officers to file separate reports every time there's a use of force, or they've used early intervention systems to try and spot problem officers, or they've brought in outside prosecutors to handle controversial cases. The problem is, police unions fiercely fight any attempted reforms. Just listen to James Stewart, head of the biggest police union in Newark, where the DOJ found that 3/4 of police stops had no legal justification. To listen to him, if anything, the police are being too scrutinized.
I don't know where the problem started, but there is an animosity or lack of trust. As soon as there's any sort of physical force exerted by a police officer, everybody's got the cell phone down. They want to catch us doing something wrong. When you got the cop out there in the street facing all this negative opposition day in and day out, does there come a point when the police officer is going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe he doesn't have to go to jail. Maybe I'll take the path of least resistance. Maybe I'll put the blinders on as I'm driving by the corner where the 10 guys are hanging out.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there. First, throwing a tantrum and threatening not to do your job because you faced public criticism is pretty childish. You think Steven Seagal gave up on his movie career just because people said mean things? Of course not. Just this year, he starred in End of a Gun, The Perfect Weapon, The Asian Connection, Code of Honor, and Sniper Special Ops. Why? Because he's a f***ing professional, that's why. And he commits to his job. But more importantly, when you say you might ignore 10 people hanging out in the corner, yeah, maybe do that, because that's not typically a crime. In some cases, 10 people on a corner is just a f***ing yard sale. Still, for many people, Stewart's argument that, for police to be effective, they need to be given broad leeway to use force is very appealing. It's especially appealing for those of us who, for whatever reason, are fairly confident that that force won't be applied to them. But it is worth looking at the actual cost of that trade-off, because a lack of trust in police accountability leads to a lack of trust in police. And we now have reached the point where there are schools who host classes like this one to teach kids how to safely interact with law enforcement.
I want you to repeat after me. I want you to say, officer. Am I free to go? One more time, officer. Am I free to go?
The hope is, with this simple advice, teens can protect their rights and maybe keep their lives.
That is so f***ing depressing. Especially when you realise that's probably the only class where nobody will raise their hand and say, when are we ever going to use this? And when you see something like that, it makes it hard to buy in when someone dismisses police misconduct issues like this.
They're out to protect you, and that's what policing's about. Are they bad apples? Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. The phrase isn't, it's just a few bad apples, don't worry about it. The phrase is, a few bad apples spoil the barrel. And we currently have a system which is set up to ignore bad apples, destroy bad apples' records, persecute good apples for speaking up, and shuffle dangerous, emotionally unstable apples around to the point that children have to attend f***ing apple classes. You cannot look at our current situation and claim that anybody likes them apples.
St. John 10, verse 10. Are there any questions? Watch me. It's getting heavier. You can see this has become a struggle between good and evil. Satan is question.
Yes, sir, Chaplain Gill. But since neither one of us are God, I don't think either one of us are in any position to say who's good and who's evil.
Why don't you just ask a question?
We were discussing the disciples. What color were they? But they were Hebrews, were they not?
Yes, sir.
As was Jesus. Jesus was also a Hebrew.
But you just asked the question.
What color were the original Hebrews?
I have told you that we don't know that for certain.
Then you can't believe for certain that Jesus... Just a moment.
God is white. Isn't it obvious?
Well, that is obvious, but we don't know if it's obvious that God is white. It's just that the images of Jesus that are on prison walls and churches throughout the world are not historically correct, because history teaches us that Jesus was born in a region where the people had color. There's proof in the very Bible that you ask us to read in Revelation 1st chapter, verse 14 and 15, that Jesus had hair like wool and feet the color of grass.
Just what are you saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm proving to you that Jesus was not, and I might quote one of our Indian brothers, he was not a pale man.
Well, I hope the space lab is out of the way because I am just about to go into orbit. I don't have to ask who hung this here, Michael Evans, but before I hang you in its place, why? This is the symbol of Jesus. Well, hello, symbol, and goodbye. Don't hang with me, Michael. I have seen out that we're going to perform no miracles for nobody. The only Jesus I know is him, and the one thing he don't need is a partner. Gosh, I both of you. He's the one I know.
saying this shit for my mouth swole up. I've been saying this shit forever. Jesus is black.
His eyes are like flaming the fire.
Have mercy. You sure do say that, don't it?
And see, Mom, look at that hair, like wool, ain't it? And look at those eyes, red like fire.
Yeah, they sure is.
Mama, how do we know Jesus wasn't black? He could have been from the lost tribe of Israel. He was supposed to be black.
I bet they were. Remember, people were lost with it.
Mama, how do we know Jesus wasn't black? He could have been from the lost tribe of Israel. He was supposed to be black.
I bet they were. Remember, people were lost with it.
What you are looking at is a fresco of a beardless Christ teaching apostles in a catacomb of Domitilla, Rome, dated around 300 AD. This is one of the most ancient, if not the most ancient, depictions of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua ben Yosef, the latter being his name and not his title. With the possible exception of 2 over his left shoulder, it is clear that the people he is teaching are also black. Here is a closer look. In other parts of the world, they have no problem depicting Christ and even his mother as black.
Defending the poor and the weak and the fatherless. In my house, there's a picture on the wall. Rastafari sit up on his throne. In my house, there's a picture on the wall. Rastafari sit up on his throne. Nation, the earth, oh yeah, sing the light of this world, oh yeah. My future ain't no lie, because the whole world behind me, I'm standing it forever.
A dead man may neither be burned nor buried within the walls of the city. Such was the decree of Roman law between the 2nd and 4th century A.D. This strict rule about how corpses were to be disposed of was imposed on all residents of Rome. Most Romans were pagan and preferred to be cremated. Their ashes were stored in small urns above ground. But the ancient Christians and Jews of Rome insisted on burial of their dead. Wealthy citizens had lined the roads just outside the city with family tombs. These tombs were called catacombas, which is Greek for at the hollows. The name came from the natural hollow spaces that lined the Via Appia, one of the ancient roads that led to and from Rome. Into these hollow spaces, the first Christian cemetery was built above ground. It is from these early catacombas that the catacombs of Rome evolved. More clues about these early practices come from nearby paintings.
The paintings in the catacombs give us some of our best clues to what early Christian practice really was. And you have pictures of mixed groups of people sitting around tables, drinking wine, and eating bread. And this was a very touchingly simple kind of a ceremony.
Scholars believe that this simple communal meal of the early Christians freely adopted Greek and Roman symbols and mythology for inspiration for catacombs. Many walls depict Hercules, the great mythological hero who was famous for his courage and strength. Here, Hercules is killing the multi-headed Hydra of Lerna, which could grow 2 deer heads for each one he lost. Of the Good Shepherd.
The Good Shepherd can be understood in the sense as an original Christ that reflects. He described himself as the Good Shepherd. The use of the Good Shepherd in the Christian catacomb is a way of depicting Christ without actually portraying him.
For example, Jonah, in the 3 basic things, he sees the whale, gets swallowed by it, and then he's spit out into the ocean. That's a very common scene, and it is, of course, a clear reference to
the biblical story of Daniel in the lion's den is represented by a nude person standing between 2 lions. The ancient Christians believed Daniel conquered this danger with prayer. Symbolic painted figures. This tomb is called the Crypt of the Coopers, so named because these ancient coopers, or barrel makers, were entombed behind a painting that depicts a group of men posed with one of their barrels. The principal Jewish catacombs are Via Torlonia to the north, and Via Randamini, which lies under the road called Via Appia Antica, site of the original catacombas burial places. Walls also depict the image of sailors buried here. Perhaps these haughty souls manned the vessel.
Moses' figure is very highly in the Jewish non-Christian catacomb. The scenes are gods and Christ.
The Middle Ages saw the catacombs visited by the thoughtful and the destructive. But their true value as a time capsule. But who were these people? The images on the walls of Via Latina tell their story. These fragments from an ancient culture preserve for us the beliefs of a simpler time. To look upon these walls is to look deep into the past.
No one.
Joy, kind of expectation of life in the world to come. There was an immediacy to their faith that is not to be found very often in people's religious beliefs today.
Today, the catacombs confront us with a difficult challenge: to preserve the great legacy left to us by those early believers for the next 2,000 years. It is a challenge that must be faced by all those who go in search of history.
Oh, smell it.
cobblestone? My bad.
No.
No! We have to stop the test!
Pretty awesome, guys. Give me a hand. We're making this out of 30 years I've never been able to use it again. So I have 3, 2, 1. Come on, guys, one more time. Do it really loud on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Who's that? Oh my goodness, it is that. Alright, let's try one more turn together, okay? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, I have a winner. It's me. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Robert Downey Jr.
Very, very good. Anybody else have anything they want to share with the audience? There it is. We have a hand up. Any other hands up? Oh my God, what great young Americans we have here. I see we have a war machine in the competition, which warms my heart. Are you going to do this mask down, or would you like to reveal your true identity? He wants to keep his identity a secret, but let's see if he has any comments for the audience. I do want us all to give a special applause for all of these. Oh my God, that is a fine Sharpie goatee you have going on. And particularly for the artisanship on this mask right here. Let's give it up to my friends. Cool.
Way before the first selfie, the ancient Greeks and Romans had a myth about someone a little too obsessed with his own image. In one telling, Narcissus was a handsome guy wandering the world in search of someone to love. After rejecting a nymph named Echo, he caught a glimpse of his own reflection in a river and fell in love with it. Unable to tear himself away, Narcissus drowned. A flower marked the spot where he died, and we call that flower the Narcissus. The myth captures the basic idea of narcissism, elevated and sometimes detrimental self-involvement. But it's not just a personality type that shows up in advice columns. It's actually a set of traits classified and studied by psychologists. The psychological definition of narcissism is an inflated, grandiose self-image. To varying degrees, narcissists think they're better looking, smarter, and more important than other people, and that they deserve special treatment. Psychologists recognize two forms of narcissism as a personality trait: grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. There's also narcissistic personality disorder, a more extreme form, which we'll return to shortly. Grandiose narcissism is the most familiar kind, characterized by extroversion, dominance, and attention-seeking. Grandiose narcissists pursue attention and power, sometimes as politicians, celebrities, or cultural leaders. Of course, not everyone who pursues these positions of power is narcissistic. Many do it for very positive reasons, like reaching their full potential or helping make people's lives better. But narcissistic individuals seek power for the status and attention that goes with it. Meanwhile, vulnerable narcissists can be quiet and reserved. They have a strong sense of entitlement, but are easily threatened or slighted. In either case, the dark side of narcissism shows up over the long term. Narcissists tend to act selfishly, so narcissistic leaders may make risky or unethical decisions, and narcissistic partners may be dishonest or unfaithful. When their rosy view of themselves is challenged, they can become resentful and aggressive. It's like a disease where the sufferers feel pretty good, but the people around them suffer. Taken to the extreme, this behavior is classified as a psychological disorder called narcissistic personality disorder. It affects 1 to 2% of the population, more commonly men. It is also a diagnosis reserved for adults. Young people, especially children, can be very self-centered, but this might just be a normal part of development. The 5th edition of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual describes several traits associated with narcissistic personality disorder. They include a grandiose view of oneself, problems with empathy, a sense of entitlement, and a need for admiration or attention. What makes these traits a true personality disorder is that they take over people's lives and cause significant problems. Imagine that instead of caring for your spouse or children, you used them as a source of attention or admiration. Or imagine that instead of seeking constructive feedback about your performance, you instead told everyone who tried to help you that they were wrong. So what causes narcissism? Twin studies show a strong genetic component, although we don't know which genes are involved. But environment matters too. Parents who put their child on a pedestal can foster grandiose narcissism, and cold, controlling parents can contribute to vulnerable narcissism. Narcissism also seems to be higher in cultures that value individuality and self-promotion. In the United States, for example, narcissism as a personality trait has been rising since the 1970s, when the communal focus of the 60s gave way to the self-esteem movement and a rise in materialism. More recently, social media has multiplied the possibilities for self-promotion. Though it's worth noting that there's no clear evidence that social media causes narcissism. Rather, it provides narcissists a means to seek social status and attention. So can narcissists improve on those negative traits? Yes. Anything that promotes honest reflection on their own behavior and caring for others, like psychotherapy or practicing compassion towards others, can be helpful. The difficulty is, it can be challenging for people with narcissistic personality disorder to keep working at self-betterment. For a narcissist, self-reflection is hard from an unflattering angle.
For the last 5 days, 17 hours, and 23 minutes, you've been a passenger.
What up? Follow my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my shit.
The new
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club.
Happy Monday, damn it.
Yes, happy Monday. Back to the work week. Let's get to the rumors. Let's talk Derrick Rose.
This is the Rumor Report with Angela Yee on the Breakfast Club. So listen up.
Well, the civil trial for Derrick Rose is set to start with jury selection tomorrow.
And tomorrow's his birthday, too, you know that.
And these allegations are that he and two of his friends preyed on a woman when she was blind, drunk, and possibly drugged. Now, on Derrick Rose's behalf, he says the encounter was consensual, and he's actually going to go ahead and talk about her reputation in order to prove that he didn't do anything wrong. They're going to bring up her sexual history. Now, according to her lawyers, her history is irrelevant. Her past sexual conduct does not, as defendants would argue, create emotional calluses that lessen the impact of unwelcome sexual assault and battery. That is what her lawyer has to say. Now, the story is that Rose and the woman met in October 2011. He was hosting a party. He approached her. They talked. She was impressed that he seemed shy even as the host of the event. They started texting each other. They went to dinner at his agent's house. They started an intimate relationship with one another. They went to parties and basketball games together. And then he started pushing her into areas that she was not comfortable with, which included sexting and pressuring her to have threesomes and things like that. He would obsessively ask her to involve others in their sex life, according to this lawsuit. In particular, strippers and other couples.
What up?
Now, she and a female friend had a tryst with him in 2013, according to her suit.
Follow my YouTube page, man.
And she didn't like how he hit it off with her,
So I get my
friend, so she got
subscribe, look.
upset when he started pressuring her to have a foursome with one of his boys. He said, I need that, according to the text messages, and she refused, and then he broke up with her. And that's when she alleges that him and his friend schemed to get her drunk and drug her, but a friend of hers took her home before anything happened, and she was drugged, incapacitated. Now, according to Derrick Rose, nobody drugged her. They went to her place because she wanted them to. She texted him, said that she left her sex belt at his house, and she wanted him to come over with it, so on and so forth. So there's going to be all kinds of witnesses. They're choosing the jurors in this tomorrow.
I get it, but I don't get it. It sounds good. It sounds good in theory to bring up a woman's sexual history, but just because a woman is a whore or was a whore doesn't mean she can't be raped. Right.
And even just calling a woman a whore just because you had sex or did whatever you wanted to do, that's no reason to even say that. It's just this particular situation. Let's not concentrate on her past. But I can understand wanting to bring up whether somebody is credible in what they're saying. And we'll get
but that don't make them any less credible because they have that extensive sexual history.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying what is important is how credible she is far as is she lying about anything in the past, not her sexual history. All right? So they said they have other witnesses who said that she was raped, and they have video of her emotional response.
Witnesses? The people who see.
Or that she told.
Okay.
That she told them that she was raped.
The bigger issue is when Derrick Rose gets found not guilty, are y'all going to respect that not guilty verdict, or y'all going to still scream, "Let's go rapist," when he takes the court?
If he gets found not guilty.
Right. He's going to get found not guilty.
All right. Now let's talk about the slut walk that happened over the weekend. Amber Rose had her annual slut walk. Now, some people didn't like this. In particular, Benzino had some things to say when he posted an ad. Amber Rose needs models and artists for her 2016 slut walk, so get your ass to LA. Here's what he had to say on Instagram.
Like, I'm confused. The whole slut walk thing started in Australia for rape. This has nothing to do with rape. This is basically embracing that it's okay for me to sleep with 1,000 men. I should be held to the same standard as a men are. Y'all are bugging, man. And real talk, yeah, I got a daughter. And she's not falling for it. So I can give a about how any of y'all think about what I'm saying.
I mean, Benzino's not wrong. I understand what the slut walk stands for, but Amber Rose's slut walk is a celebration of being able to be as sexually free as you want, right?
Well, I think slut walk encompasses a lot of things, how it started and where it has morphed into today. Now, Amber Rose responded, "Hey, Benzino, one day someone will call your daughter a slut, hoe, whore, etc. for no reason at all. Besides the fact that she's beautiful, confident, possibly if she wears something sexy, and or, God forbid, gets sexually assaulted, victim blamed. Please educate yourself on what the movement is before you speak so ignorantly. You're welcome to visit AmberRoseSlutWalk.com for more info." Now he responded again.
You see, this isn't about somebody calling somebody's name. People call people's names. This ain't about that. See, this is about teaching our daughters that you don't have to sleep around with men for money to get ahead in life, or that you could be even better than a man if you studied and worked hard, and you can accomplish anything in life without degrading yourself. It's not ever been about what you wear. It's about how you hold yourself as a woman.
All right, so I don't know if he...
I'd be so confused, though, because, I mean, Amber Rose lives her life like it's golden. She dates a lot of rappers. She poses naked when she wants to. She talks about having a lot of sex.
She said she can't even remember how many people she's had sex with.
Right. So she wants to do that without being called a slut or a whore or whatever.
Without being
because, you know, when she says things like, you know, they call me, somebody's going to call your daughter a slut for no reason. People don't be saying that about you for no reason.
Not for no reason.
I mean, come on, stop it.
It's a good conversation to have, but
I think she wants to get rid of the judgment of, you know, first of all, men and women are held to a different standard. And to
really not, though.
Yes, they are. And as a woman, she's saying you should be able to embrace your sexuality. If you want to have consensual sex with somebody, you should be able to do that and be, you know.
See, but with French Montana's knocked off a lot of females.
Yeah, we put him in the whole Hall of Fame.
We call him a slut.
Every time I see French, I'll be like, "You dirty asshole. I'm living vicariously through you."
But you made it like it's a positive thing.
No.
I'm living vicariously through you.
That don't mean I want to do what he does.
It means that you look at it and you kind of admire it. It looks like fun.
Do you see the women he be smashing?
Okay, so that's a positive thing.
Jesus Christ. All right, deniedly. I mean, I'm not saying he's smashing. Allegedly, exactly. I'm saying allegedly.
Right, well, you
Trina?
that point.
Allegedly.
So much. Trina was there at the slut walk.
But I don't.
Joanne the Scammer was there. Tori
But you know the difference between French and Amber? French ain't out here talking about it and saying how he's banging all these different chicks.
Would you support it? Would you go out there?
I mean, I support the cause. I don't know that I need to be out there.
Well, why wouldn't you go out there?
I just didn't feel like flying to LA for that.
You know that's not your scene. Tell the truth,
I have a lot of things going on in my life.
Okay.
It's not, to me, I talk about it on the radio all the time. And
Don't let them conservative shame you, Yee. If you don't want to be on stage half-naked, twerking at a slut walk, and say it. Don't let them conservative shame you.
I have a podcast called Lip Service that I feel is very empowering to women. So I do my part in trying to empower
women. So you support the slut walk?
So I support what it stands for.
You support Amber Rose's slut walk?
I think that the message sometimes is, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see Amber Rose have people team up with her that have things that have happened to them in their life that they want to express. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of women that
so you don't
No. I'm saying I would like to see her team up with certain people that I feel like could get those different messages across also.
Every time I see videos of Amber Rose slut walk, all I see is a bunch of girls twerking. and shaking their ass.
They do twerk.
I'm like, is this freak nigga or this foot walk? What is this? All right, well.
All right. Well, that is your rumor report. I'm Angela Yee.
The Breakfast Club.
He risks his life doing accounting for the scariest people on the planet. The secrets this guy has.
He's a criminal.
Only when someone breaks his moral code.
Who are you?
The accountant, you know.
North Korea accidentally allowed access to its internet by the entire world. And as a result, we have a little bit of a sense of what is available on the internet in North Korea. And as you can imagine, it's not a lot. According to CNBC, the secretive state somehow accidentally opened access to all the websites hosted on its servers, revealing that it only has 28 registered domains. Now, the vast majority of them, actually all of them, are extremely slow. Some of them don't work at all. But among the 28 sites listed is one called Air Koryo, a flight booking site, and one named Friend, presumably some sort of social network.
So I like the simplicity of Friend. If you've got a friend in North Korea, well, this is where you find him, at Friend.
Yeah, at Friend.
Okay. I like the simplicity of 28 sites. It does seem a little unbelievable. But expecting the North Koreans to put up more than 28 sites is a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
So this is part of why I've been saying for a long time that I don't think that they can deliver a nuclear bomb and launch it against the United States. They can't make the toilets run. They've got 28 websites, half of which can't load.
Yeah.
So now, at the same time, they have been getting it a little bit better, unfortunately, with their missile technology.
Right.
So their tests are starting to be a little bit more concerning. But God, it's that. Every time we do a story on North Korea, I feel so bad for all those people who live in North Korea.
Absolutely.
They live in the darkness. They have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world. They have no access to information. They're fed propaganda nonstop. It's as if they are, listening to Fox News and the only channel there is.
Yeah.
There's like 28 websites, one's for airlines, and the 27 others are Fox News.
Yeah.
And so...
Just one day after clashing with Black Lives Matter protesters at a rally in Philadelphia, former President Bill Clinton is speaking out now about perhaps how his exchange went for
believe in protest. I did everything I did because I engaged in something like this. But I never thought to drown anybody else out. And I confess, maybe it's just a sign of old age, but it bothers me now when that happens. So, I did something yesterday in Philadelphia I almost want to apologize for, but I want to use it as an example of the dangerous that we are. We all have different experiences. We cannot learn anything unless we listen. And we are all, just as I was yesterday, vulnerable to getting to some point where somebody says something, I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Well, here's a reminder of what happened at the rally when protesters heckled President Clinton about that crime bill from 1994 that he signed into law. They also took issue with a speech 2 years later in which Hillary Clinton referred to some youthful offenders as super predators.
Oh! Now, wait a minute. Now you're screaming. So let's do another one. I don't know how you would characterize the gang leaders who got 13-year-old kids hopped up on crack and sent them out onto the street to murder other African-American children. Maybe you thought they were good citizens. She didn't. She didn't. You are defending the people who kill the lives you say matter.
Let's chat. I'm joined now with CNN political commentator Mark Lamont Hill and Heather McDonald, a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. She is also the author of Are Cops Racist? So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Mark, to you first, do you think President Clinton should apologize?
Well, apologies imply a level of contrition, and if he doesn't feel that he did anything for which to apologize, I don't want him to be dishonest. I do think that he was wrong, though. I think the way he engaged the protesters yesterday was inappropriate. I think the fact that he marshaled in evidence that was simply inaccurate and empirically unverifiable, in fact, it's been contradicted, I think is troublesome. And the fact that he essentially did another sleight of hand here, where he comes in and makes us think somehow now that the protesters are the problem and that they're endorsing the killing of 13-year-old kids or calling them good citizens. None of that was the truth. The truth is Hillary Clinton made a bad choice. Bill Clinton signed bad legislation, and now they have to be accountable for it.
And so, Heather, on the flip side, you believe that Bill Clinton wasn't wrong, right?
I think the most radical thing that he said yesterday was to point out that it was the African American community who asked him to sign the 1994 crime control bill because their kids were getting shot by gangs and 13-year-olds were planning for their funerals. There is a need to recognize the truth that there are many people within the inner city community who support the police, who want the criminals off the streets, and that the policing revolution of the 1990s, coupled with longer sentences for violent felons, has saved over 100,000 black lives since 1994, had the crime levels been at their same rates. And that it is overwhelmingly inner city neighborhoods.
Can I ask you a question about?
Sure, Mark.
Can I ask you a question about that? On what basis do you say that that was responsible for the drop? I understand there was a drop, but what scientific basis do you make that?
Because nothing else changed radically to explain why crime went down. There was a policing revolution that began in New York City, where the police started targeting hotspots, using data obsessively and holding commanders accountable. Nothing else changed in New York. Our poverty levels remained the same, drug use remained the same, income inequality remained the same, and yet we experienced an 85% drop in felony crime, the largest in the country.
Let me jump in because I have other numbers. Listen, hang on. I'll get there, but just to another point on numbers, an equal justice attorney says American jail and prison population jumped from 300,000 to 2.3 million over the past 4 decades. And, you know, the President Clinton would have had, as president, a role in this. So, Heather, wouldn't the protesters be justified in calling out Bill Clinton?
No, they wouldn't. Prison remains a lifetime achievement award for persistence in criminal offending. Only 3% of violent crimes and property crimes actually end up with the offender in prison. A third of convicted felons end up in prison. Most are given community sentences or jail time. You have to work very hard to get in prison. The overwhelming number of people in prison today are there for violent crimes, and that is the people we need to get off the streets that are preying on innocent, hardworking, the majority of people in minority communities who just want to enjoy the same freedom from fear as everybody else in the country enjoys.
Go ahead, Mark.
Can I respond?
Hey, give me a second, people. I'm about to put this Madden in, run a game of Madden. I'm about to start broadcasting on that.